rhythm to it. It's like a little rhythm to it. I like that though. We're back on another episode of Salient, but don't shake your head, Dan. Don't do this little shrug.
It's
all
what
ready to
rhythm
start
is,
off.
good sir.
Salient Points number 91 for November 29th, 2022. I'm Carlos Macias, the master of what, Dalen?
Well, I was gonna give you a different one, but now you're the master of the broken metronome.
Oh, damn. Okay, Carlos Macias, the master of the broken metronome. All right, Dalen. Dalen Kirkwood up in the mountains. Thank you for joining me, sir.
Man, learn to dance to the beat, sir.
Oh, okay. Who's that a message for, Dalen? Not
It's
to me.
It's a message for everybody right now, but mainly you, Carlos.
All right,
Whoa.
okay, Dan. So how you been, Dan? Okay, so Mondays over here?
Yeah, man, I'm trying to go to sleep. Hey, let's get this over with.
Oh,
right now.
okay, Dan. I didn't know it was such an
Mm,
obligation.
business.
Come
Yeah.
on, man. Let's kind of get down to business. All right, Dale Blas, the king of midday. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
This week.
I hope the rhythm's gonna get us
The rhythm.
tonight, and we're gonna have a great time.
Hey, man, make the plan, execute the plan, expect the plan to go wrong, throw out the plan.
Look,
Let's go.
throw
Yeah.
anything anime at Dalen Dale, and he'll appreciate it, man. So if you can think of some dancey thing that's anime related, he'll appreciate you. Luis
What?
Huh? I know what I said. I know what I said, Dalen. Luis Mendez on the wheels of steel as well. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Let's get this over with, I
Oh,
guess.
Oh, you know what?
Ooh.
That does
Let's get
remind
it
me, though.
poppin'. How about that?
We're not gonna get a lit Dale. Did you go back and listen to yourself, Dale? You were.
I was not that bad.
No,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
I'm
I
not
know
saying you were
were.
bad. I'm not saying you were bad. I'm just saying you were a little lit.
We liked
Which-
it.
We liked
We
it.
liked
Yeah.
it.
We approve.
uh,
We approve. The audience
A
approves.
little
as well.
colorful in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
be
We
real
appreciated fresh out the driveway, Dale.
colorful. Fresh off the driveway. I don't know. If
Oh,
I
you
closed
should have
my
seen
door.
me on Turkey Day. Turkey Day was nuts for Deo. Oh my
Okay,
god.
Okay.
I like you referring to yourself in the third person. That's fine.
Yeah, that's a different person. That's a different person. The business Deo right now.
That business day already. All right, so I hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving. We were late on it to celebrate, but we did say it at the very end of the episode. We stuck around. We said happy Thanksgiving. So we hope everyone had good celebrations. We're gonna get right to it. The people speak, mainly Jet this week. The first thing he said on YouTube.com, on our webpage, on our We.com's webpage. By the way, if you comment and like, subscribe, all that stuff, you will get on this show. We will talk to you and answer questions. But Jet, he said, bruh, I have the map expansions. We can get down with some Mario Kart. I feel like that was to you, Dale. What do you have to say to this man?
Jet, I don't know you, but I'm down. Let's do this. I'll post my Nintendo Switch code, friend code, or whatever it's called,
All right, there you go.
online,
have
and
it
then
somewhere
we'll
on
do
the
it.
Jet
Let's
is
go.
down.
I'll
Hey,
comment on the YouTube comments, and then he'll be able to comment back.
there you go. I like subscribe. Well, I think he's subscribing on that fun stuff. But
Is he?
anybody
Okay.
else, you know, we'll kind of join up. I know Dalen's down. Make sure to do Candy Road or whatever that map is, and tell Dalen he can't turn on the
Candy
assist.
Road.
I know what I
We're gonna
said.
go to Candy Land.
Close
That's
enough.
the next place.
Close
We're gonna go to
enough,
Sugar
Dalen.
Road.
All right.
Carlos,
This Rainbow Road.
I
This
know I
Rainbow
put
Road.
no for this, but I
Rainbow
gotta
Road.
correct you. He's hitting you up, Carlos, the man who didn't want to purchase the expansion to play the new Mario Kart courses, and you were like, "I will buy it if everybody else buys it." We don't need to. Jet has it.
Okay, there you go. There you go. Next thing on here.
Or if you really want to play Rainbow Road,
Mhm.
I saw on Halo Infinite someone created Rainbow Road, so you could like
Ooh.
On
Go on the-
Halo?
yeah
I'm down.
yeah. Someone did it in Forge, so it's a whole track you could like race around in with your buddies.
People get
Pretty cool.
crafty and Forge, man. You should
I
check that
want to
stuff
see
out.
that. I want to take a
It's
look
nuts.
there. I want to go to there. Next thing, of course, Jet left another comment. He said, "Dead or alive doesn't jiggle. They fold it." I mean, I don't know what that means. Dalen, you know, I'm not even going to touch this question. I mean, try to keep it child friendly, please, or something, Dalen. What's going on here?
I think Jet is under the impression that the creators of Dead or Alive just had to go with the masses and say we can't put these physics in anymore. But that is not the case. They made the conscious decision and said, no, we're not going to put in jiggle physics this time. We're just going to see how well our game sells. It sold just fine, but it didn't sell as great as it would have if it had
I hope.
jiggle.
And I think Deo shared this, but they have Chun-Li. Oh, was it? I think it was you, right, Deo, that put this out to the
Oh
Chun-Li
my
one, the Chun-Li from
God.
Street Fighter 6. That's good. I feel like that's gonna sell some
Yeah,
copies.
cake. Yeah.
Do the cake.
Uh,
The cake jiggles,
Thick
man.
with 2 C's.
It's very interesting out there. It's very interesting out there. Dale, what do you got to say to Jet about this Dead or Alive situation?
I think he's referring to like an internet video meme or like a TikTok meme, in this where it's like my money don't jiggle jiggle, it folds, and it's like this TikTok. I don't know what it because like I've heard it before,
Potentially.
but that's what it reminds me of.
Well, here's the problem, Jet. Context. All right.
No, here's
There
the
you go.
problem. I feel like Jet and Dale are on the internet. Use the internet. You're not on the internet,
True, Dalen.
or
Very
you're on
true.
the internet. You don't use the internet, Dalen.
I don't have to be to ask Jet for context.
Well, is Jet on the Chinese cyberware that is TikTok, Dalen? Is he on that? Is he on that?
He's out there ransomwareing people. All right.
I didn't say that, dude. I did not
I know you
say
didn't.
that. But, you know, all right. Well, hey, more context, Jet, please.
Hey, give Cyberpunk back their net code, man.
All of a sudden. All right, we're going to move into headlines. We got a couple juicy things. It's a lot of wrinkles in this whole Activision being bought by Microsoft mess, of course, which we get all these kind of details off camera, off wax. Me and Dale were like, oh, it's speculation, or, you know, we were kind of, it's like, no, it's not. These are like legitimate documents that are coming out of this. Microsoft is saying like, you know, PlayStation has better games, and Sony's like, no, not really. We can't control it. We're not as good as Battlefield is not as good as Call of Duty is one of the things. But we'll open with this. One of the main things that came out was that Elder Scroll will be basically Microsoft confirms that will be an exclusive, but not Call of Duty. And this is on an article from Kotaku that they in Kotaku writes, they said the publisher suggests that it makes good business sense for them to make a mid-sized game like the upcoming Elder Scrolls 6 exclusive, while also arguing that there's just too much money to be made from having Call of Duty on PlayStation to pull that from Sony's platform. By the way, this like little mid-game size game compared to a Call of Duty potentially, but we've been talking about how Skyrim keeps selling and selling and selling. It's like millions and millions of copies are sold of this quote unquote mid-sized game. But I think it's funny that like Microsoft's like, yeah, but that's not such a big game. It's like, bullshit. You bought these people for like $7 billion for a reason. And we're still buying copies of Skyrim because of what, Dalen? Because we keep buying it and they'll keep giving it to us.
You keep buying it, we keep selling it.
We'll go to you, Dalen, first. What do you think about this, man? About Microsoft like, oh, this exclusive, but not Call of Duty.
Personally, even though I know it would piss off a lot of people and alienate some people, they could flip it around. They could make Call of Duty exclusive and make Elder Scrolls across other platforms. Because as they call it, a mid-sized game, obviously it's a mid-sized game and not as big as everything else. If they have more platforms to sell it on, more people can buy it. Hell, if you want, put this game on all the platforms. Just make sure most of the proceeds go to Microsoft. So,
yeah, but I mean, but Elder Scrolls is a single player game, right, Dalen? Like
yes,
Call of Duty
and
is multi-platform,
still
and it's
bought
about people.
Elder Scrolls.
Sure.
What was it, Skyrim? Yeah. Carlos, how many save files did you have in that game?
Oh, that's $1 million, but that's because I have $1 million on any Western RPG. I'm gonna use every single slot.
And answer the man. Answer, Dalen.
All 100.
We need to know.
All 200. All 200.
Oh my god!
But the fact is that these Skyrim games sell regardless, and if you sell them across platforms, you're just gonna have more people buying it. Skyrim could probably make up for the sales of Call. Well, okay, that was about to be a very overreach of a statement.
That's why we tell you don't trust this man, Dale. That's why we tell you don't trust this man.
I feel like most of what you just said, I
myself
can't trust. Because Dylan, it's the obvious thing is Call of Duty, man. They're Elder Scrolls, of course, they're gonna sell, and I think they're just kind of trying to make a case that, you know, it's like we're gonna keep this exclusive, but it makes more sense to keep a campaign style game exclusive than it does to Call of Duty, man. I mean, like all the things they can sell in game, all the little kill cams like we talked about a couple years ago that they're trying to get to people, you know, it just makes
monetize across multiple platforms.
What do you think, man? Are you picking up what Dalen's putting down as far as like let's switch the roles, or does it make sense what Microsoft is saying? Yeah.
No. You said no.
Yeah,
sorry.
Hot take.
I disagree. I agree with the mid-sized term as in terms of money. That's the only thing I agree with the quote. Because like Elder Scrolls is big, yes, but does it make like $20 million or $130 million a year like the Pokemons of the world, the GTA 5s, the Call of Duties of the world? No. But they also have the option with Elder Scrolls, the franchise, to have ESO be completely multi-platform. So having Elder Scrolls 6 exclusive, that's fine. That's totally fine. If you want like the Western RPG flavor in your gaming, you'll have to go to Xbox. That makes sense to me. If you want like third-person action adventure movie quality type projects, you want PlayStation. So that makes sense to me. and having Elder Scrolls 6 exclusive to them, I don't think that will hurt Sony's bottom line too much.
It sounds like you completely disagreed with every part of my statement.
Oh, I did too.
I was listening.
It's two so far, so I'm glad you're listening. There's two people so far because it includes myself. Now, Lise, are you the trifecta here? Do you agree with Dalen's statement, or do you agree with the rest of the gang here?
I don't necessarily think there's a meeting going on at Microsoft HQ where they're trying to like, do we put Xbox or Elder Scrolls as exclusive? There's no way that they're comparing the two. They make drastically different amounts of money.
Yeah.
Sure, as far as like a regular video, kind of AAA title, quadruple A maybe in this next gen.
Mm-hmm.
That it's a successful franchise, right? It's not like breaking the bank or anything, but it's a successful franchise. I don't think it makes sense for them to, or I guess in this sense, it does make sense for them to like, we'll make this one exclusive, and if you want to play this game, this will be the reason why we pull you in to get on this platform, right? And it's gonna be aggregate. It's not just gonna be Elder Scrolls. It's gonna be something else, some other title. It's gonna be a handful of titles, exclusives, kind of like what Dale was talking about a few weeks ago, of like, we kind of miss those days of like where it was before, like, oh yeah, well fuck you because you can't play this game, it's on Xbox and you don't have
console wars again. Is that what you want?
Yeah.
Console wars, and a little, not necessarily toxic like they used to be, but just kind of a little tiny bit of smoke, tiny bit of smoke. We miss that a little bit.
Yeah,
We miss the healthy competition.
Like when PlayStation 2 was short on their PlayStations or whatever, and then Dreamcast did the little kid on the side of the truck is like, oh, we're sorry for your shipping difficulties, and he's the little kid sticking his tongue out or whatever, right? But
then you're like, that didn't age well.
Yeah, that didn't necessarily age well. But I think it's just a matter of strategy, and I think it makes more sense. But I think Dale brought up a good point that they can have Elder Scrolls 6 proper be exclusive to Microsoft, and who's to say maybe just for a year or something, right? It's like, all right, we'll drop it on PlayStation and the rest, but they can have their cake and eat it too. If they have like the Elder Scrolls Online, it's like, well, this is multi-platform, right? They can kind of do both, right? It's like, let's pull people in a Game Pass into Xbox ecosystem, but you can have a little bit of online. But anyway, it's kind of nice seeing that, because we've been talking about that. I feel like I've been on that train as well. Like, if you've heard me talk about it before, it's like, of course they're gonna have their campaign games be exclusive, and it's nice to see them go like, yeah, that's what we're doing. And I know they're trying to win this argument. I know they're trying to like get the Activision Blizzard thing go through, but it's like, okay, of course, this is what you're doing. The other thing that Microsoft said as well was that PlayStation exclusives are quote unquote better quality. And this is from, I believe it's from the same Kotaku article. It says, in documents pertaining to Activision Blizzard acquisition, they said, quote, Sony has more exclusive games than Microsoft, many of which are better quality. Both Sony's and Nintendo's exclusive first-party games rank among the best-selling in Europe and worldwide. Current Sony exclusive content includes prominent first-party titles such as The Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, and Spider-Man. So it's kind of like interesting to see like the little they have better quality exclusives. Even Microsoft is going so far to say that, right? So what do you think about this, Dalen? Or actually, Dalen, do you want to get a chance to rebut anyone else's arguments? I suppose. Dale, what do you think? We'll go to you last, Dalen, just so you can kind of give them a little counter there. What do you think, Dale, about this statement on better quality?
I think as far as like cinematic games go, that is absolute fact right now. Like the Sony pen of PlayStation exclusives that they have totally eclipsed the content that Microsoft's had definitely over the last 2022, because Microsoft barely had anything, and definitely for this generation so far. So I don't have any qualms with that. That's just facts, and I'm glad that they're observing it. If they try to address it in some sort of way, great, because like they definitely need to step it up.
But they know, and like all this is with the pretense of and the bias and the, we want to get this deal through, right? So it's kind of like we're using everything. We need to make this happen.
We're making moves.
We're making moves. Like we're even going to so far as to say they make better quality exclusives. Luis, what do you think about this?
I do like that just a few moments ago, Dalen was very pensive, like, let me build my argument for a second. He was really actually thinking about that, like, let me just
I don't want
stomp
to
on
get
these
shut
fools right
down
now.
like the previous one as quickly. He's
I
got
was
time.
like,
But,
No, he's
uh,
having
he's gonna
time.
move on from me.
No. He's having time.
But
You're gonna have time.
I
Man.
will say that I mean, this is a more direct way, I guess, of saying it, but it's not like they've kind of been shying away from this. Phil Spencer has been saying for a while, like, damn, we need more exclusives. Basically, that's all that he's kind of said,
True.
which is true when you consider it's not necessarily that they have better exclusives, it's that they have more and they actually are good, right? So hopefully, like what Dale was saying, that they actually do something about it at this point, and it seems like they're going that route with what he said, what we covered last week, where they're talking about, hey, if we need to delay a title, we're going to delay a title. We just want it to be good. So hopefully that's kind of them correcting their path and making sure that Xbox is sort of a destination to play if you want like good exclusives or something.
Yeah, and it's been kind of like Sony's MO, right? Like, I mean, they don't, they don't really rush these things, right? And we do get delays. I'm pretty sure both of the Last of Us were like delayed, right? For at least a couple months, at least two, because it's such a big profile, right? But I think a lot of games are pushed. Probably the workhorse over there at Insomniac, they're like, nah, this is coming out September. We're getting
No,
this
we're doing
done.
it.
And it's gonna be frictionless gaming, and it's gonna be on time, Sony. So I feel like only Insomniac, but everyone else, I'm sure, like the Ghost of Tsushima guys, Last of Us guys, are like, it's not ready. And Microsoft, like you were just mentioning, Lise, and we talked about last week, is that now they're like, if we gotta push it. It's gotta be as good as can be, right? And they definitely learned their lesson with Halo Infinite, which was high up there for me in the Game of the Year's discussion last year. But I understand people's qualms with it. Dalen, did you have enough time to build your argument? Because it's your term, sir.
Well, it's not like I disagree with anybody in this particular case. It is, hey, I can't disagree with the fact with these particular facts. It's just like, okay, I'm actually going to say it this way. I think there's an even ground of quality across PlayStation and Xbox, simply because their focuses are different. When it comes to PlayStation, they have smaller games with higher quality. Where I'm going to say smaller game, where I'm actually talking about things like God of War or It Takes Two, but I guess that was on Xbox as well. But Xbox has more of their focus on multiplayer games, where PlayStation doesn't seem to have as many massive multiplayer games as Xbox does when it comes to exclusivity. I can't even say that word. So when it comes to Xbox and making their massive games, they actually lose a little bit of quality, but people keep going back to those games. Okay, PlayStation, people will eventually drop those games and they're like, all right, where's my next game?
Yeah, I feel like the gameplay styles or focuses for like a PlayStation exclusive versus a Microsoft exclusive are completely different. I agree with that, definitely.
That's what it is. It's just they have their focuses in different areas, and people just chalk quality up to, oh, it's beautiful, and oh, the mechanics are all there. Hey, they tried their best with Infinite, but their only downfall is the fact that they couldn't.
Well, and I mean, most of their games, most of the games, I know. Look, the Halo Infinite things are well documented. The co-op, the lack of Forza, all that. But you look at Forza and you look at all these multiplayer like focused games. You've been playing Sea of Thieves, right? Or Sea of Thieves, right? Is that the game?
Yeah, I've been playing.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that's true. And look, even Microsoft were smart enough to like. They just called out the single player games, or largely single player. Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, Spider-Man. They're for the most part single player experiences, right? So I like that argument. Anything else? We don't want to leave you kind of hanging, Like if you have anything else to say.
We just hate you, Carlos.
Oh, okay.
Oh, damn.
So speaking of the Microsoft thing, the latest little wrinkle to it, of course, this was like in the last couple of days. We talked about it a little bit last week, but now I feel like it's a little more confirmed because it's Reuters. So Reuters reported that sources familiar with the deal and companies involved claim that Microsoft will offer a series of quote-unquote concessions to the EU's European Commission, the main one being a 10-year licensing deal with Sony. They didn't really get into much details, but that's basically to say, like, here's the contract, right? Like, I mean, we can assume, right, that here's a contract. It's gonna be on your console for the next 10 years, right? I'm sure that'll come out later. This is just another one of those things that Microsoft, we will do anything.
And will you like to renew in 10 years?
Will you like to yes, exactly, right? It's a little tricky, right? 10 years is a little tricky. Dale, what do you think, man? That we kind of got more confirmation of that. It's like, okay, hey, sign here, 10 years, we'll give it to you.
Right. Okay. So as part of my day job, I am a contract manager for a lot of stuff. So 10 years is very
You're not doxing yourself or anything,
forgiving.
Dale, right? We don't
No,
want
I'm
you to
not.
get
No,
in
no,
trouble.
no, no.
Okay, gotcha.
No.
Go.
But 10 years is a very, very long time. That's like 3 times as long as you really want a contract to last on average. And it might be the case where they're offering 10 years, but what they really want is like 4 to 5 years, something like that. So they're like, okay, we're gonna start out with a ridiculous amount, and then we're gonna talk it down and negotiate to like the middle ground, which is like, you know, how you talk with kids sometimes. So-
Okay, contracts just like talking
you
to
would
kids.
child.
Just like talking to kids.
I mean, that's like the simplest way I could put it. And then so you do that, and then so you hope your end result is slightly like reduced compared to like what you offered, and then it appeases a lot more people once it looks like you're willing to negotiate and you're more flexible with the terms. So they might.
I like that.
I think that's why they do that.
Yeah.
Because like you want some back and forth, because you still want a working relationship with your rival, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, because you can't 100% shut them out. They have to be part of the equation.
Well,
kinda
especially when you want to take away like kind of their golden egg or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Like they're, you know, like you're taking this away. This is kind of important to us. It's been important the last 10 years or so, right? So it's kind of one of those things that's like I like that. I like that perspective.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Nintendo does it just because they're Nintendo and they've been doing it, so like we're just used to it. But imagine if like Microsoft pulled Minecraft off of like any other consoles, like that'd be a big deal, right? So Microsoft definitely doesn't want to do that, but as like a business tactic, I get what they're doing here. As far as the EU, in America, it's a lot more cutthroat. In the EU, I don't know what the behind the business deal stuff
they
goes
spell
on.
words differently. They add U's to favorite.
Dude,
you know, like
they put World Cups in places they don't
chips.
have World Cup stuff. You know, so
Hey,
calling fries chips all the time, dude.
all the time.
If we had any UK, EU listeners or whatever, hey, not my bad though. Not
Hey,
anybody's bad.
hey,
We said what we said.
he had a
Just
little
enjoy
point to
your
this,
midday
though.
tea session, and you'll be fine.
A
So-
little disclaimer. We'll put a little disclaimer. Luis, go ahead, man.
So, I guess unrelated asynchronous to this whole like deal, let's say cut it down in 5, like what Dale's saying, right? That or something similar around that area, where they're looking like they're negotiating, they're trying to go 3 to 5 years, something like that. That is way more than enough time that Sony could use to, with the amount of live service games they said, first person shooter live service games that they said that they're willing to, they're planning to develop. They need to actually just make a competitor, like what Dale's been saying this whole time. Like they've been, they tried, I guess we could say, with Killzone. It was successful, but it wasn't necessarily the Halo killer they intended it to be or anything like
As they
that.
promoted it, it's the Halo killer, right?
They got Resistance Fall of Man, which was also successful, but it wasn't like this blockbuster hit. I guess not like Returnal, the blockbuster hit Returnal that they said.
That sold 225,000 copies.
So let's say it's 5 years. That gives them way more than enough time to develop at least one live service game that is a first-person shooter, something like Destiny, which they did buy this company to compete with something like Call of Duty, So hopefully they do, and then we kind of get a slight little smoke of the old console wars back, the new console wars coming back in here.
Compete, please.
Yeah, it's
Where's my Destiny killer?
Your Destiny killer by Bungie, Damon. By Bungie.
Yeah.
Bungie, kill it
Made their own
yourself,
Destiny
Bungie.
killer.
Kill it yourself. Honestly, Sony should be like, look, Destiny, it's off of Xbox. But I think they didn't. I'm sorry, Dalen. We both love Destiny. They didn't buy Bungie for Destiny, man. They just like, fine, bring that franchise with you. We'll deal with it. But they bought Bungie to show us FPSs, how to make these. Like Sony was talking about. The other wrinkle to this is that Sony, in their counter arguments, is one of their things that they were saying is like Battlefield can't keep up with Call of Duty. And I do like the Kotaku quote in one of their articles. They said that basically Sony shits on EA from a great height. And they're referring to this quote from Sony saying, quote, Other publishers do not have the resources or expertise to match Call of Duty's success. To give a concrete example, Electronic Arts, one of the largest third-party developers after Activision, has tried for many years to produce a rival to Call of Duty with its Battlefield series. Despite the similarities between Call of Duty and Battlefield, and despite EA's track record in developing other successful AAA franchises, FIFA, Mass Effect, Need for Speed, Star Wars Battlefront, the Battlefield franchise cannot keep up. So Sony's like, look, that's cool that EA exists over there, makes Battlefield, but it's trash. It is trash, boy.
Whoa.
What they're making over there. So these guys are. I like that they're bringing in all kinds of like straight bullets are hitting everybody, dude. Like straight bullets are like EA's just EA. Let's picture EA the company as a person. They're just chilling, relaxing in their chair, in their beach chair, and all of a sudden a straight bullet from Sony hits them. Talking about your Battlefield series, trashboy.com. But Dale, what do you think, man? What do you think about Sony over here just shooting straight bullets out here, man? Just
why are you hitting up EA so hard?
I'm not. I am not. Sony is hitting them. I'm just giving you an illustration of what Sony is doing to EA. But
he gave us a vivid image.
They're just getting hit with straight bullets out here, man. Fucking Sony is out of control. But they have to send Jim Ryan out there, man. I'm sure he's gonna travel out there again. That's
part of my discussion. So like, I feel like Jim Ryan is like whoever said this quote. Jim Ryan's behind him, like tell him that Battlefield is trash. Call of Duty makes tons of money. Tell him that, like, up the ante or the value of Call of Duty really extensively high. So it helps their point against the antitrust and the anti
there's definitely stuff like
merger.
That, right? Little whispers and stuff, right?
Yeah, like why wouldn't they do that type of? That's all the business like speak and everything like that they have going on.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's part of it. At the same time, like it's the management of the Battlefield franchise really sucks because honestly, they should have had the first battle royale. Like if you think about like how many players they have on their huge enormous maps, they should have had that idea first. And the fact that they didn't capitalize on it right away is just, I mean, that's their bad. So yeah, I mean, Sony has some lick of truth to that, but not like that, man. You don't go out there firing on stuff like that.
Not if you're getting like
They probably got pissed off because like because EA is like, oh yeah, you could have our game on Game Pass, by the way, Phil Spencer. And then Jim Ryan's in his hotel room in like Prague or whatever. He's like, no, to get on the phone right now. We're gonna make a quote about this right away.
Prague.
I don't know where they have these discussions.
In Prague, Dalen, in Prague. All right, but that's we have talked about it before. I believe it's been on Wax, but it's so funny how that whole battle royale thing like started with like. It was PUBG, right, at first, but then Fortnite took it and they blew it up way out of the water, and then PUBG's like, we're going to sue them for this concept or whatever, and actually
they made it worse.
It made it worse because it made Fortnite bigger. Like, wait a minute, Fortnite's doing Battle Royale? And then they kind of took it over, but you're right, like, Battlefield with it's been touting like many players. It should have been having a battle.
Dude, on PC we had 64 players in Battlefield 2042 and 2020. What was it? 24, 22? I forget what the feature one was. They were huge, man. And like the fact that they were just set up for something like that. It sucks that like Battlefield, the franchise, can't find its footing against Call of Duty, but like they tried to do what Halo does, where it's like Halo tries to absorb Call of Duty mechanics and gameplay and style and everything.
But it
just doesn't work.
But it's also like a low blow.
Battlefield did Bad Company, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's also like a low blow because as if Battlefield doesn't know they're trash, dude. Sony's like, let me kick these guys while they're down. You know you're trash.
What is up with you and hitting up EA, Carlos, and these straight
I'm
bullets?
not doing
Sony
it.
did.
I'm not doing it. Sony did that. I'm just illustrating.
No love.
I'm just illustrating what Sony has been doing, dude. Because it's like Battlefield knows.
In case the image wasn't clear, he's just letting you know.
Yeah,
it's a recreation.
It's a recreation, exactly.
It's a reenactment.
Reenactment. There you go.
Another reenactment.
Boy, so we can kind of, I guess, get away from trashing on Trash Boy Battlefield. What's your last?
Good God.
What do you have to say, Lisa, on this?
So it's a funny thing you said that because personally, I've always liked Battlefield more than Call of Duty. I've liked the mechanics. I've liked the squad mechanics, the larger maps, the bigger overall team play. that you kind of have to keep focus on because it's such a large map. You kind of have to just essentially trust a little bit that your teammates are doing what they should be doing and help where you can. So I've always liked the game. I always liked the mechanics more, but he's right, dude. They're right. You know, that the game, I don't know if they should necessarily be competing directly with Call of Duty because it's not necessarily, it's a shooter, but it's not necessarily the same game just because of the scope. So Call of Duty has tighter mechanics. It's in comparison to Battlefield, it's a little more arcadey. It's not as realistic, I guess. So yeah, it has a wider appeal. Call of Duty has a wider appeal than Battlefield because it was always hard for me to try to get a squad. It's just 4 people, dude. Get a squad of 4 people to play Battlefield with, you know, and it's like when you play a game of Rush, that's some of the funnest like gameplay I've ever had when you're playing Rush on if we're talking Battlefield 3 on Metro. Like that those are some of the funnest games I ever had.
Nostalgia right
Ooh.
now.
But people just don't want to get on it because it's slightly more when you just kind of
Technical.
think about the 4 different classes of players.
You have to. It's a lot. You have to work together a lot more effectively. Yeah, you have to be a little bit more coordinated.
One person can carry the whole team. It's a team effort. It's a squad effort, and that sort of builds up to the team effort. If every squad is doing their job right, then the team will win. But yeah, he's right, dude. It's like they got to figure something out, and it sucks that this comes right after like everyone trashed on Battlefield. The last one that just came, what was it, 2049, 2048? What was it?
The one he was trying to remember the year for.
Yeah. So that last game that came out, it flopped because it was so buggy, and recently they've sort of been building up to like, hey, we're fixing all the bugs. This game is fun. Come back and play, please come back. And then this guy comes up and shits on them from the rooftops, and he's like, this game is trash.
Hey, like,
From the roof.
Hey, basically, like Kotaku said, shits on EA from a great height. So Kotaku, thanks for making us laugh. You know, thanks for making us laugh and cry, and we can move on because you know. But I do like the perspective, Lisa, and I do agree. It has its own like fans, right? And it has its own mechanics that are good. And we do have a homie that Walter's constantly like, bring up anything Call of Duty, bring up anything Halo. It's like, what, sci-fi guns? You don't even feel the shot. So talk something about the when you shoot, it does the air right or something. It drops enough. I'm like, all right, whatever, man. Ain't nobody on Battlefield because it's trash. But yeah, Sony is out of control. But you know, they're fighting, man. They're gonna send Jim Ryan. They're gonna send the big guns. Jim Ryan. They're probably gonna bust out the band all the developers together to kind of get over there at some point. But other than that, the latest, another little wrinkle, then we can move on from this, is the fact that the FTC, we were seeing news that the FTC is likely to file an antitrust lawsuit to block Microsoft's Activision Blizzard acquisition. I'll just throw out a little quote from Michael Pachter, who's been around in the industry for a while. He said, U.S. FTC, quote unquote, likely to be crushed in court, which is why they won't sue. That gets resolved by Microsoft agreeing to a list of demands to maintain the status quo. FTC drops its objections. So Michael Pachter feels like that's whatever, man. Ain't then nobody gonna sue. They're probably gonna do things like this, right? Maybe that's why the whole 10-year like option comes out, because they're kind of like, let's kind of sign something. Like Dale was saying, like, we'll do 10 years. And someone's like, hold on. And then they'll kind of talk them down like a child. Right. Other kind of little tidbits from there, we'll move on into quick takes, is the fact that out of this also kind of Microsoft basically said, you know, because one of the arguments is like, oh, well, the 10 years would fall in line when the next console comes out or doesn't. And Microsoft's like, no, don't worry about that. At the earliest that we're going to get new consoles is fall of 2028. So that's kind of some of the documents coming out. And we'll move on to CD Projekt Red is actually planning more transmedia projects after the success of Edge Runners. The Netflix project helped boost sales of Cyberpunk 2077. We'll go to Dale before he falls asleep on us. What do you think about this, Dan? Did you watch Edge Runners, by the way? I know Dale was touting it. He was kind of praising it. You know, did you get around to watching it?
Second job has taken me away from being able to do a lot of stuff. I barely had enough time to even play video games for that matter.
Don't be doxing. By the way,
I'm working at McDonald's again. I'm doxxed.
Oh, damn. David said, I'm doxxed. Can I get a Shamrock Shake, though, next time I'm in town?
if a Shamrock Shake is available, and if the ice cream machine is working. I almost got into a fight with a lady a couple of nights ago over that ice cream machine.
It's not working.
So.
It can never work, huh? We can never have good things.
Man, people are getting angry about it.
All right, well, I'll
get emotional.
I'll
really
settle
emotional.
for a pineapple mango smoothie. All right, Dylan, on the house.
That I could do it for you.
All right.
But shoot, you made me forget what I was talking about.
Edge Runners, Dylan. Edge Runners. Project Red says they're gonna make.
I haven't had a lot of time, so I haven't actually had a chance to finish the series. I've only seen the first episode, and it actually it looks good. I understand it's just the one season, and they're not necessarily gonna make a season 2. But I did mention this before that I am glad that it actually raised that popularity, because if you could actually have additional media that actually promotes your games and do it successfully, I always think that's awesome. That's why I'm always happy to see them make a King of Fighters movie or a TV series, or Tekken when they do it right. But if you could do it correctly, you could really promote your game immediately. I think the other one was League of Legends, how they did Arcane or whatever that was.
Yes.
That was an excellent
that
series.
was like super huge. I think this one in particular is kind of pointed because it's like this anime came out and people were like, what is this?
What is this?
I think it actually legitimately like boosted their sales, whereas League of Legends is huge, right? I think it's just a matter of giving
people
the
went
fans
back to The
something
Witcher
watch.
when the Witcher series came out.
Yeah, I mean that's still not League of Legends. Dan, you were talking about League of Legends. I was like,
I know. I'm mentioning another thing. Is that the fact that they made the series media based on the video game and books, and people are like, "Ooh, I need to go play Witcher now because this is awesome." Boosted their sales. Yeah. And now we're getting Game of the Year edition, upgraded edition on PS5.
Hey, that Witcher 3 update, by the way. It's not
nice.
on the rundown or anything, but it's high fantasy. I fucking hate it. I know I've said it on the podcast, but I don't know.
You're gonna do it.
I might tinker with it. Deo, what do you think, man? What do you think about CD Projekt Red saying, hey, we'll make some more transmedia projects?
Oh, I thought I put no on here.
Oh, you did? Oh, my bad. There's a yes in there. Luis,
okay.
We'll move on. Luis.
All I have to say is watch Cyberpunk Edge Runners. That's all I got to say.
All right, there you go. That's a good comment.
I thought I put no. Oop, my bad. Let's keep that on tape.
Did you put no on this as well? Luis in the rundown, but it says yes.
I did not. So what I was going to say about it was that I remember when this came out, they released the series, and I remember them saying something about, we have no plans to make another season. We have no plans to basically add more expansions, because they do have plans for I think the one that's coming up, right? There's one expansion for Cyberpunk the game
2077, yes,
coming up. And I remember thinking that's kind of weird. But I guess now they're seeing the success of the series came out, people are actually buying the game now, months after release, and they're like, oh, this game is actually more popular than we were anticipating. So that's kind of good news, because they went through some shit, man. They went through some crazy shit.
We talked about it.
Well documented returns that Sony hit them up. They couldn't get the game off the floor. They got their whole data stolen from multiple games and put on the black market. This and that, what's going on? And they're like, man, we're just trying to make a game out here and we're dealing with all this shit. So it's good to see that, it's kind of like a little redemption story, and hopefully it kind of works out.
And that's good, giving them benefit of the doubt too. We are just trying to make a game, because I don't think we can necessarily assume that they handled all the complete rollout of when that came out, that they're like, you guys need to make a PS4 version, right? We can't really say the developer themselves, even though there's a developer publisher, right? But I would assume maybe those are different subsidies or whatever. One is the developer, one is the publisher. So that's giving them quite a bit of benefit of the doubt, and it's good because you see them coming out emotional too, right? I don't know about this recently, but in the last couple months, right? They're like, oh, this is what we've been working towards, and you kind of like seeing that, I guess, that authenticity, right? And the fact that it's kind of they're turning the ship around, after.
Now, we'll say I was going to add what Dalen had said, but the wrinkle I was going to put in there is that, because he was talking about, oh, maybe this will kind of be a thing to boost sales, right? They'll release a series or kind of in tandem-ish with the game. But the only one that I really heard anything about, which was what I was going to say, is Cyberpunk. They did release Arcane, but I don't know if that necessarily correlated with boost in sales or active users in League of Legends, or boost in sales or active users in The Witcher. But I'm pretty sure maybe people went back to play the game or something like that. But I don't know if it necessarily added more sales. So, because this is really the only game that I remember kind of hearing about, like, oh, our sales actually kind of increased.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. So, we'll see. But yeah, it would be kind of interesting if this starts being like the 1-2 combo of like release a game, release a series, release a game, release a series, and then that creates other revenue options for merch or whatever.
You know why you only heard about it with Cyberpunk? It's because they had to recoup their situation. Witcher didn't have to do that. They were game of the year.
Yeah, but
I don't know, man. I didn't hear nothing.
Yeah, I think that's fair, dude. I think it's mainly like the fact that it's such a big like trauma that we all share.
It's the trauma.
It's
They
big
were recovering.
trauma and the recovery. The fact that they're like, yes, this is good news. We can get back on track. We could like make the DLC we were gonna work on. Versus The Witcher was considered a good game, right? And it's just like I think those like Arcane and the Witcher series on Netflix, I think were more like for the fans. Let's put something out there for the fans so they can enjoy it. I'm sure they kind of recoup their money or made some money off of it, but I think a lot of it was probably like, let's do this for the fans. Let's get this out there. Go ahead, Dalen. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say they just need to make a No Man's Sky series.
Don't, Sean Murray, dude, don't ever bring this man's name up again, please. How dare you?
Chaos, absolute chaos.
Sean Murray, you're out of control, man. Sean Murray, you're out of control.
As long as there's more than 12 people working on the series, then maybe Carlos is on board.
Sean Murray, man. I kind of hate you, Dalen. I don't know if I said it before, but I kind of hate you. This is fan service though, Dan. This is also for the fans. 12-player Starship Troopers extermination game got announced. Did you check anything out on that, Dalen? Any like trailers?
I had no idea this was even a thing until I saw it on the rundown, and I was like, Starship Troopers doesn't know how to die, and I'm happy about that because I enjoyed Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
All right, so the fact that they're even bringing it back, I mean, it's like Alien. They keep making games, but we ain't seen the movie since 1987. All right.
87.
So I'm glad that they're even making this because I enjoyed Starship Troopers, and I think we got a whole slew of different games based on what Starship Troopers does. One of them was even Farpoint, which you like to point out that wasn't a
Starship Troopers game.
It was very Starship Trooper E.
It's Starship Trooper E, sure, Dalen, but it wasn't. Yeah,
that's what I mean. It's like you get a bunch of games that are Starship Trooper E. I mean, another one was like Earth Defense Force because I get that feeling right off the bat. The fact is, you get a game where you're killing a bunch of bugs, you got Starship Troopers basically.
All right, there you go. 12-player Starship Troopers game. What do you think, Dale? The same thing? This thing won't die in a good way?
Yeah, no, I'm exactly the same boat with Dalen. Like I didn't know that was a thing until I read it on the rundown, and when I did my walk, I like looked it up and I just got super giddy. I was like, oh man, I want to play as Rico and like take down some dudes and like nuke a bug by like climbing inside
it's
of
gonna
it.
be generic ass soldiers, but I'm down to do it.
I don't care if it's like Captain Rico and I have to salute him or whatever. That's cool. With like the weird propaganda that happens on the screen and shit.
Hey, bring Neil Patrick Harris back. You know he'll do it.
Oh,
will it be better than Battlefield though?
Whew. Yes.
I hope that's the
yes.
Hope. That's the
yeah, I hope so.
Yes.
I hope it's focused.
I honestly
like I was.
Oh, go ahead, Dale. Go ahead.
No, okay. I was just gonna say like I was like there's some other games that tried to do the same thing. Like you guys remember that game Evolved? Like kind of thing where it had like
the one where they
stuff.
ruined themselves with their DLC and their monsters that they lied about. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I was like, I thought that game was gonna be like that, and I thought I was like, oh, we're gonna be hunting something, or we could take it down something. But yeah, if it's more along what the lines what the Dalen said with like EDF, like Earth Defense Force, it's a
12-player like multiplayer game, I'm assuming, or just
12-player murder bugs survive.
What more do you
That's
need?
all you need.
Cool.
Hey, I'm not surprised you guys are hyped, but
that could literally be their slogan, and like I'd buy it. I don't care.
Look, I gotta admit, I'm not necessarily surprised you guys would be a fan, but I didn't know to this extent. I would have like put more details in here. I literally in the rundown put 12-player Starship Trooper game, and I was like, whatever. You guys are. Damn, now I'm excited. Now you guys got me excited about this. The next thing
just go back and watch the movie. Do it.
Totally
hey man, it still holds up to this day.
I mean, you're assuming it held up in the first place, Dalen.
It did.
Okay. All right. I don't know. Maybe.
Don't watch part 2 though. Just stay away from part 2.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that caveat. The next thing on here, Peacock's Twisted Metal is apparently shaping up. This is a quote from IGN, by the way, on their header tweet, I believe. They said Twisted Metal is shaping up to be a post-apocalyptic mashup of fun akin to Zombieland, and just kind of based on that descriptor, Dalen. What do you think? Now, are you getting kind of hyped that it's a little some Zombie Land ish?
All we need is Axel. I don't care about Zombieland stuff.
Okay, there you go. That's
Give
all
me
I have to say.
Axel. Give me a man who's attached to some wheels, just rolling around the city.
That's all you need.
Destroying
That's all you need.
things.
That is all, just running over stuff and like he's popping up like one side because it's uneven like that.
And you
But,
got a guy named Sweet Tooth who just got missiles coming out of his little clown thing on his head. All right, I'm shooting snow cones at you. You got a guy who's Twister, I think that was his name. He just spins. It's a car that spins. I don't understand. It's a car that spins.
It's a car that spins, man. Just give it to me. Luis, what do you think, man? Zombieland is, I don't know. I think generally considered kind of a fun, campy type of zombie movie. So if those are some fun vibes, right? Or just got that.
Man.
Yeah.
Or...
And I mean, like when you
Okay,
take into
Dalen,
consideration,
okay, Dalen's gonna step on your lies. Go ahead,
sorry.
Dalen. What were you gonna say?
Sorry.
And then
No.
we'll get to you, Luis. Then we'll give you a chance.
No,
Dalen, it's
I can
1,
wait.
2, 3, then back to what is it, 2, and then, not 1, 2, back to 1, Dalen. Go ahead,
I'm
Dalen.
sorry.
Mm.
No, I feel bad about
You
it.
should,
now, 'cause I
but
definitely
go
didn't
ahead,
do it.
man.
You're dragging
should
it
feel
on.
bad
Come
about
on,
this one.
Dalen. Keep dragging it.
All right. But for having it be a Zombieland-esque thing, even though it was a very campy movie, Twisted Metal was campy all by itself. If you ever paid attention to the story for Twisted Metal, it was super
I
campy.
did not, but
and
Story?
made
you didn't
no
what
sense.
story, Dalen?
There was a
Story.
story. There was a story.
Question mark.
Dalen, you just said, give me a man with wheels on both sides.
Just wheels
That is the story.
rolling.
Man. All right.
Can you imagine like the screenwriter thinking of like how we're gonna attach a man to an axe as an axle
Oh,
to two wheels? How we're gonna do that?
Dale. 20 years later, when did this thing come out originally?
98?
98. All right.
98,
Whatever,
something
however
like
many
that.
years. It's too much math. I finally get why Axel. Now that you put it that way, Dale, I understand. Axel. He's the axle to the two wheels. I understand now. I hope people caught on to that. All right, Luis. Dalen, please don't step on his lines, man. Luis, we'll get to you, man. What are you thinking here?
so yeah, I mean, this was kind of a no-brainer, and I'm happy that they're going this route, because there's no way that, a lot of things try to sort of, when it's a screen adaptation, sort of, or a video game adaptation or whatever, try to ground it in reality a little bit, and it's cheesy. It doesn't hit right. If they try to make this like even a movie that was sort of like a B-C movie, like Death Race, to try to make it like serious in that way, there's no way this thing was gonna work. So I'm happy that what IGN is saying here, that it's kind of going that route. That's the best possible route for success for this series. Like there's no other way that this is gonna work out. So yeah, we're gonna, we don't want this dark backstory of some guy that he got wheels stuck onto his arms and limbs or whatever. It's like,
That's a torture.
there's
That's
no
a torture
reason. There's no
mechanism.
reason. This guy has an ice cream truck and this guy has wheels on his
Accept it. Just accept it. Just accept it, right?
story.
The other thing is, so people were out here not accepting that apparently Callisto Protocol is going to be getting some DLC, but Glenn Schofield quickly came out because they were like, oh, we're going to be, this was his tweet. I'll say his tweet. He says, Glenn Schofield, CEO of Striking Distance Studios. He said, to be clear, we're not holding anything back from the main game for the season pass. We haven't even started work on this content yet. It's all new stuff that we'll be working on in the new years. Fans have asked for even more deaths, so we're making it a priority next year, because it's kind of like one of those things you always assume, right? It's like they held that back to sell it to us later. Apparently it's like 25 exclusive death animations, so to whoever that's exciting for, there's gonna be a season pass for what I thought was a single player game, but I mean they're kind of making it interesting talking about a season pass.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that turns out. But Glenn Schofield was like, hey, well, hold on. Stop blaming us about not putting anything on a disc. We are working on it. We'll go with Deo on this one. Deo, what do you think, man? Is it good that he came out and clarified this whole situation?
No, it kind of worries me, because like whenever they try to find other like business avenues for this kind of thing, which we all thought it was like a single player only type of game. I'm like, why are they trying to like recoup this cost or something like that? I feel like the media rollout for this game has been like really good, and what they've showed about the game has been super positive. I've watched a lot, like they have a lot of specials on Vanity Fair right now. If you go to YouTube and you type in Callisto Protocol and Vanity Fair, there's like, or what's that? Like, what's that? Wired magazine. They have like little tech snippets or like interviews with Glenn Schofield and a bunch of other stuff, showing you off the game, especially like the audio and everything. So I was like, I mean, you have the movie kind of aspect of it. The quality's there. The graphics look incredible. So it's weird that they're trying to nickel and dime like this. I think Glenn Schofield, he's a kind of crazy guy. He's been around in the industry like Crystal Dynamics for like a long time. And he's a genius salesperson. So maybe that's why he's trying to do this whole thing. But I feel like it's unnecessary. Like,
but
it's kind of cheapening
and I like that you don't take what he's saying at face value, right? These people are lie to us all the time, man. Like so it's possible that he's not being exactly truthful, but if you want to take him at his word, he's kind of saying like, well, people are requesting more death animations, but they weren't necessarily requesting season passes. That's a season pass. You guys already had thought about having a season pass, right? But yeah, I think that's a kind of a fair, kind of be a little skeptical about it. I think that's a fair perspective to have.
I'd rather have them do what, like how Resident Evil 8 is doing, like where they have like the winners update, where it's like a year later and they have like something like that. Yeah. Then they add that stuff. Then it's fine to charge whatever, like once you've proven yourself. But it's weird that they're doing it this way and launching like this.
Dan, you're looking a little confused, or
he's been looking very pensive,
or a little pensive.
I was almost confused about the Wired comment, but he brought that to a cohesive.
Close. Okay, hey, thank you for your thesis, Dale. Thank you for your thesis, Dale. You closed. Dalen was just judging your essay that you just turned in. Apparently, like, where is this going?
Hey, that's what we're here to talk about.
Come on, hey Dalen. Man, come on. You guys called me out on my walkabouts, all right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, we don't think that was an essay, but apparently Dalen.
Apparently Dalen was grading your essay.
No, it was just at the very beginning. The rest of it was fun.
Oh, so the intro wasn't as great, but the conclusion, the arguments that he was setting up, they were fine, right? Like, and he closed.
Hey, that first paragraph was iffy, but the rest of the essay was great.
That's your notes, Dale. That's your notes.
I've never been good at those. Yeah.
Struggled at the start. You struggled at the start.
With those.
All right, Dalen, what's going on here, man? What do you think about Mr. Glenn Schofield's comments?
Well, my thing for the season pass, it gives me night terrors about how Outriders did it. Or I think it was called Outriders. Outsiders or Outsiders? Outriders. Which was
Outriders.
Nope. It was Outriders. Okay, because that was the one we played where you get the nice powers and fire coming up from the ground and everything. And they said that. Yeah, they said it was going to be a complete game, and they weren't going to do DLC, and then they turned around and did DLC. So for a game that says they're doing Game Pass, I don't necessarily think they're really going to try and do multiplayer, especially not like Dead Space 3 did, because that was terrible. But when it comes to the Game Pass, I think it's just them saying they're going to consistently release content so people can continue to want to play the game.
Well, and you mean the season pass, right? You've been saying Game Pass, but the season pass, right? Game Pass. Season pass. Yeah. Luis, what do you think? That's all right, Dan.
I think, I know you guys are kind of having a hard time believing this man at face value, but this is the same guy that said, China doesn't want this? Well, fuck China then. We're not releasing this game in China. So,
right.
No, Japan. It was Japan. Japan was the rating.
Japan. It was Japan.
Oh, was it Japan? I thought it was China. Yeah. So China, this man said, fuck Japan. Hey. They don't want to see the blood. Fuck that shit. We're releasing the game and it's not being in Japan. So now we have
China,
our own exclusive.
Let me apologize on behalf of the release.
No, they're dealing with some shit right now. They're going through some uprising or whatever right now.
Fuck China too.
They're doing good at TikTok, all right?
Fuck China too, he said.
The man who came straight off the driveway is hitting.
All right.
So I will say, I don't think this is going to be something that necessarily. I believe this man when he says, regardless of what the season pass is or whatever, which I'm hoping is, well, not even hoping, because if he's saying that the full game will release and season pass, whether it's just 1 or 5 or 10 or whatever of them, will have no impact on the story as a whole. And I believe this man, because this is the same guy that was like, then we just won't release the game in your region.
We just won't put it out there. And it's out Friday. So I'm kind of hyped, man. It's on the GameFly queue. I'm ready. Next thing on here, Grant. This one's just for Dale. Gran Turismo 7 boss says he's considering and looking. That's a quote. Considering and looking into a PC port. You want Gran Turismo on your PC, Dale? Is this what you're, kind of trying to hint at here?
Very much so.
Okay.
I can make it really quick. Yamauchi, if you're listening to this podcast, which I hope you are, put Gran Turismo 7 on the PC. You make the game on a PC. Let us play it on PC. It's not that hard.
That's the same.
I don't.
argument you make for any
I'm not a
game.
game developer. I don't think it's that hard.
That's a reasonable argument, though,
Yeah.
coming from a developer.
That's reasonable.
I don't know. That's to me. To me, the franchise is now at a point where it's a global sport, and to increase your player base, you should have some sort of like PC presence nowadays, especially for a racing game. Racing games aren't the type of game that that should be like what do you call it? Like pigeonholed into like limited to like one console, because like a gameplay is kind of universal. That's what helps like really big games like Rocket League become really successful, right? And so like I think it's time. The way that they just had their 25th anniversary and they had their World Series happen this weekend in Monaco, and it was like really awesome to see like that esport take off and be like supported throughout these entire years. It's like watching the Halo Infinite championship series. Yeah. And so I think it's time. And there's so many, how do you say that, like sims and sim racers out there that could benefit from Gran Turismo being on PC. Because the thing I hate about like PC sim racing in general is that like these games, they're very good in mimicking the sim aspect of actually racing, like in a car, like car physics, all the friction notes for it, and like doing all the what do you call it, the racing management of certain races. So they're really good at that. The problem is they all look like shit compared to like Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo looks amazing. They look terrible. Like they look like they're made like 2 generations ago. And so if Gran Turismo jumps on the scene, hopefully it'll push a lot of these other developers to like, hey, we need to up our game. We can't just have like a super accurate physics simulator, which is really punishing. We got to make it look good and play nice at the same time.
Yeah, so basically developers of Gran Turismo do what Dale said. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, Luis, but just compile to PC, right? That's all they got to do. Is that it?
Execute.
Execute or compile?
To a certain extent, yes. To a certain extent.
Sorry, I didn't mean to offend.
But is the word
no. I know. I even said you brought up a good point. I mean that it is kind of strange that you develop these things on a PC, yet the EXE is for PlayStation, Xbox, Switch maybe sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, you do have to consider the minimum requirements, graphics cards, processors, all that stuff, and then kind of tweak the game that way. So you do have to add the options for a player to, if they want, tweak the graphic settings, texture quality, all that kind of stuff. But it's there, it's extra work, but the game is essentially done on PC. You kind of just have to optimize it.
I mean, when they make it, they're not looking at a PlayStation, right? They're looking at a computer monitor, right? Is what they're doing. Next one, this one's for Dale as well. Actually, the next couple, I should have switched them around a little bit. Next one, Need for Speed Unbound gameplay has leaked online before the game drops this Friday. So this is another game that I have in the GameFly queue that I'm kind of ready for. So I'm kind of excited about that. Did you look at any of this gameplay, Dale, or no? Or you just kind of black out? Okay.
Yeah,
it
looks great.
Give it to me. Give it to
me.
me.
So it's made by Criterion. So if you've played Burnout, you're gonna probably love this game. That's why I'm excited about it. And they leaked this stuff like probably 2 weeks ago. So I've been keeping up on it. So it looks like a mix of Need for Speed Heat and Need for Speed Most Wanted kind of
the latest Most Wanted, or the like 06
version? The 06, 07 version, like that version. So it looks promising, and the art style looks really cool and interesting too. The thing is, like, I hope EA doesn't inject their usual like, oh, you got to pay for like this skin or this graphic or graffiti thing or this effect in order to get like the cool stuff going on. Which I haven't heard of anything about that.
What are you getting it on, Dale? Because I'm doing PS5.
I might get it on PC, but I did see like at Walmart they had like an exclusive physical version of the game where you get a balaclava as part of the item, kind of like old GT5.
That's all it takes, huh? All it takes is a ski mask, huh? A thin ski mask.
Yeah, that you could buy at Big Five for like $3. But $3. I don't know, just because it came with the pack. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool.
If there's crossplay, Dale, let's get down, man. Let's get down with it.
Yeah. What version are you getting?
PS5.
PS5? Yeah. I might.
Right. Yeah, if there's crossplay, there's crossplay or whatever. But I'm game flying it, so don't commit too much. Don't commit too much because I'm just gonna tinker with it and return it. All right. So, but I'm down to tinker with it. Next thing on here, Street Fighter 6 is rated. That is suggesting that there's gonna be a drop soon. Dale, is it? Is it coming pretty
Cake
soon?
Physics.
Cakephysics.com.
That's the only reason why I said yes on the rundown is because I just wanted to mention the cake physics. That's it. But since we mentioned it earlier, I think we're okay.
That's okay, Dalen. You don't have to shake your eyes while the camera is already shaking, Dalen.
You got a fire to put out. Be right back.
Okay,
damn.
Dalen,
Oh no!
right,
Oh no!
Dalen, okay, Yep, there goes that man.
That's a real fire.
There goes that man. The next thing on here, Ragnarok, real quick for me, and then we'll get into a couple more details on this. But Ragnarok sells 5.1 million copies in the first week. It's the quote-unquote fastest selling first-party PlayStation game to date. I do like that as a follow-up. Nintendo kind of came out. I was like, oh, okay, is that correct? Pokemon Violet and Scarlet sold 10 million copies in 3 days of release. So they're very quickly, all the little smoke. There's still a little smoke out there, Dale. I know you're kind of like, we want that classic console war smoke, but we still have it out there because Sony said, oh, really? We're going to sell double the Ragnaroks. But one of the things that did come out as far as God of War Ragnarok is a quote from the director Eric Williams on the Kind of Funny Game spoiler cast. He did say, they asked him if there's going to be any DLC for the game.
Have you muted this man, Carlos?
Oh, it's a lot of technical
I think
aspects. But the director, let me tee it up for you, Lisa. They'll figure that out. As far as DLC for God of War Ragnarok, the quote from the director, Eric Williams, he said, I don't know, man. That game is big. I think we put everything we had into it, so I wouldn't count on it. So there's more stuff. I didn't read through the whole thing, Lisa, because I'm not trying to get spoiled right now. I'm kind of playing through this game right now. But what do you think about that, I guess? Kind of early on, right? Because you're still kind of,
Yeah, I'm pretty. You're catching up to me in the game, dude.
So I'm playing on normal.
I know, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So the hardest difficulty is adding that sort of padding on the amount of time I'm spending on the game. But on what you were talking about for the wait, what was it? Oh, the spoilers. That's why I actually haven't sent you the video of that guy this is why I play games, because I started looking for it, and then things that looked like God of War Ragnarok spoilery started coming up. I'm like, I'm not even gonna go down this rabbit hole. I don't want the game.
Oh, is that why I haven't gotten that clip that you promised me all those years ago? It's because
all those years ago, I've been looking at it for all these years, and God of War Ragnarok spoilers are coming up, and I'm not gonna risk it,
That's
but
fair.
that's why you haven't gotten that clip. On the topic of this thing, if this man, who is a director on this game, has said, well, I don't know if we're even making it, then I doubt it's even coming out. That there are some of those conversations, we'll say being inside of the other side of those meetings or whatever. That it's information limited to a certain group of people, but if this guy's a director, I'm sure he's kind of involved in that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think we're kind of way past that point where single players used to come out and then we would sort of expect DLC to drop for side story or whatever. So the fact that they didn't do it for the first game, if this guy's saying that, we put the whole story in there, I don't know what else we kind of have to tell you guys.
Well, and even that,
I don't think we should expect anything.
That period of time where there was like, we're expecting DLC for games was like very short lived too, right? It was kind of like post 06 Xbox arcade era where they're like, look at Braid, look at these tiny games, look at Explosion, man, look at this. And then at some point we're like, they did the horse armor and Elder Scrolls, like, we don't want that. But then GTA came out with like some nice juicy DLCs, right, with Grand Theft Auto 4, and we had a nice little period of maybe like 10 years, right, 10-15 years, and then it became kind of like how GTA does it now, right? Like, it's online expansions. It's like we're not even kind of messing with the single player. I think the big thing for this one though is, and I don't think it's spoilers, but they kind of said like, oh, this is it, like it's a 2-part saga to this, right? It's not usually, you get trilogies or whatever, but these are long games, man. The first one was pretty long. I'm sure this one is probably just as long or a little bit longer than the last one. But they pretty much said as much, right? They said as much, like, we are putting everything in here, right?
It could be wrong, but I feel like they said that a very long time ago, like way before even this game came out, where they were like, yeah, it's going to be 2 games. Like, I don't think they sort of strayed away from the fact immediately that this was not to be expected
which is,
to be
look,
a trilogy.
it's 2 games. It's nicely split down the middle. It's Atreus Squeaky and then post squeaky, right? Post squeaky mode. It's
Mickey
kind
Mouse
of a
Atreus and then post Mickey Mouse Atreus.
Mickey Mouse Atreus, right? So yeah, the next thing we have on here, we'll throw this Dale. You all right? Are you ready for the next prompt here?
Sure.
The God of War Ragnarok director also said he would love to take a swing at Castlevania. Should Konami be willing to outsource the license? And the quote from the same podcast, he says, quote, "You have the audience out here, the world, you know. I don't know what I'm going to do next, but if somebody gets me that Castlevania license, Santa Monica would love to make that." And that's kind of on the same kind of funny games podcast. What do you think, Dalen? You want to see Castlevania a la God of War?
I don't know about a la God of War, but Santa Monica Studios has not done anything wrong that I'm aware of.
That's a good record. That's a good track record. Has not done anything wrong. I want to see that quote somewhere, Dalen.
They have not done anything wrong. For a gaming company, that's a good thing to have on your billboard. Yeah. Hey, we're fine. But when it comes to the Castlevania just as a series, it's super well known for being side-scrolling. And that was a huge thing for me when they actually switched from side-scrolling to 3D. And like Sonic, they had an issue in making that adjustment.
A Sonic issue.
But I feel like they succeeded where Sonic failed in getting people to actually still be fans of Castlevania regardless. And it's like they weren't as good as the side-scrolling, but they were still good enough that we're like, all right, make another one. Let's see if you can do better. Yeah. And having Santa Monica Studios pick up the sticks on this one is like, I would love them to, what is the word? I want them to revitalize the series, breathe new life into it, keep it going, because I love the Castlevania series, and I would be down for them to actually make another one. Heck, do another installment, or at least retcon one of those Gabriel games. What was it, Lord of Shadows? Lord of Shadows 2 was not good.
The first one was, though. It was decent. It was decent, right? Even the PS2 ones, was it Harmony or something? Or like the first 3D versions on PS2?
Lament of Innocence was excellent. Yeah. That was a good installment. And then they did something with like the dark... Yeah, so then they did something with like a dark castle, and then they did another one, and then they brought it back to 2D, and suddenly everybody was playing the 2D version. So
and you know, as far as Santa Monica Studios, they've shown that they can kind of, like you were saying, breathe new life, revitalize it, because as they did with the original like God of War trilogy, it's like, oh, that's fine, that's it, that exists. We're gonna follow up with it, and it's gonna go hard. And I feel like they've proven that out with these last two games. I've been playing them back to back. We'll talk about it a little bit and what you've been playing a little bit more. But what do you think have they done no wrong as far as you're concerned, Luis? Have they done no wrong, I guess would be the way to tee this up.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. If you think even like one of the harder sort of platforms, which I'm pretty sure Sony hit them up and they're like, you know, we got this handheld portable thing going on. Can you put a God of War on there? Maybe call it Chains of Olympus or something. Go ahead. That was one of the best. That was one of the best titles on the PSP, dude. That was one of the best titles on the PSP.
Both of them
for sure.
Oh
yeah, there were two of them.
Yeah, both of them were nice.
So yeah, I will say that as far as the main sort of comment I wanted to put on here, which is, you know, I'm kind of being a little Dalen-y here, is that I honestly have never played a single Castlevania game in my life. So I just learned a new wrinkle today. I didn't even know there was a 3D version of these games. I just learned that right now.
Well, they've tried. They are attempts, Lee. Let's put it to you.
Okay.
They have been attempts.
What I will say, would you want them, Dalen, let me ask you a question. Would you want them to, you know, sort of revitalize, breathe new life into Castlevania? Or would you want them to revitalize, resuscitate from the dead, something like
a Sonic,
Prince of Persia?
Ooh.
You hit me hard, man. Why
Damn.
What do you want, Dalen?
I have an answer to this question. The answer to this question is yes. They need to do both. Give them the licenses. Let's see it.
Yeah, and I mean, it was kind of a throwaway line on a podcast. The fact that this would ever happen, highly unlikely, but it still would be kind of nice, right? It's good to dream. It's good to dream.
Actually, sometimes. There is one thing I want to say for this is, even though, yes, I would love to see Santa Monica Studios do Prince of Persia as well, because that's Also, just do every side-scrolling game.
I was gonna say, just make every game, Dale.
Santa Monica Studios. But no, the actual group that I would love to see make a Prince of Persia game is the group that made Senua's Sacrifice. I would love to see them do Prince of Persia.
Mm-hmm. That was a Sega game.
That'd be pretty
right?
sweet.
No, that wasn't Sega. That was
I think that was Team Ninja,
now,
wasn't it?
Yeah,
Team
and now
Ninja,
they're
yeah,
owned by Microsoft because they got bought out and then they made part 2. So
All right, there you go.
their games are excellent. That's the one where what was it called? Where they have multiple personalities in their head. They're hearing voices, and it was a big thing recently.
Oh,
I think you
split
enjoyed
the
it,
game,
Chris.
huh? Split the game, huh?
No,
Okay, I
split
didn't know that.
personality.
We'll split the movie, the game, Dalen.
Okay, split. All right. Is that what?
Dalen, this one's for you,
I
man.
didn't understand
This
it.
was
McAvoy
especially
the game.
This one is especially for you, Dan, since you are the resident Sonic fan on the podcast.
Sonic
Especially that beef.
situation, man.
Where you guys, I don't think Dale was on, but Luis, you might have been on at the time. But Dalen had a little beef, not really knowing this man with Sonic Fox. Was that his name, Dale? Sonic Fox?
The fighter.
Oh, I know.
Fighter guy?
No, I was there.
You were
I know.
there?
Yeah, the
Dalen's
fighting
had a-
game guy. Yeah.
Dalen straight up hit this man up, and I was like, I'm gonna retweet what you said to him, and I sent him a quote. Of course, he didn't respond, right, or whatever. But Dalen, he didn't really know this man, but he basically said F, Foxy Man or whatever his name is.
Sonic Fox.
But anyways, Dalen, go back in the archives, Dale. It's a lot of hours. It's
I'll
hours
send
and
him the
hours.
clip. I'll
Yeah.
send him the clip. I got
Okay,
the clip.
Maybe. Yes, I think so. I think there's a.
The main thing about Sonic
Look.
Fox is I just don't like his personality. He's an
You don't
asshole
even
when it
know
comes to
him,
fighting
Dalen.
games.
You don't
I don't have to know him
him.
to look at him. It's like looking at Donald Trump. I don't like the man. I
Dalen.
don't have to meet him.
Dalen,
You don't have
Yeah.
to know him to look at
come
him.
on, Dalen. You don't know the man. How can you just based on his cool hat? Can you hate on him? I don't understand.
His cool Sonic headgear guy hat.
Come on.
That's
Dalen.
about the only thing about him that I
his-
do like. Is
yeah,
like,
his
give me
whole
the hat and
persona.
take away your title.
You're out of control, Dylan. But being the Sonic resident that you are, the Sonic fan on the podcast, Sonic Frontiers is apparently a cornerstone of future Sonic games, says Sonic team head Takashi Iizuka. This is his full quote. He says, quote, "Just like Sonic Adventure, our goal for Sonic Frontiers was to create a game that would be the cornerstone of future Sonic games. It is a brand new approach for the franchise, but we have been conscious to honor with the HONOUR." So this is like from a European site out there.
European.
Honor Sonic's roots as well. The game still needs to feel like a Sonic game. What do you think, Dalen? You've been playing the game. We can kind of mix it into what you've been playing if you wish. But what's up with it? Is it a cornerstone? Is it the Sonic adventure of our times?
As is, no, it is definitely like the Sonic beta test that they spoke of. Because this could
the global playtest, right? Yeah.
The global playtest. This game could definitely be the groundwork for future Sonic games, and they definitely leaned into the Sonic Adventures part of it. Because when you're looking at that original tech demo that they showed, the world looked empty as heck, just completely empty. You're like, you're just running around in a grass field, but. I know I'm dancing into what you've been playing at this point, so I'm just gonna
dance away, Dylan. Go ahead.
because that's what I've been playing. I've been playing Sonic Frontiers. That's the only game I played last week. Even though I have God of War waiting for me, I'm like, I'm gonna beat Sonic Frontiers.
You know what it is,
and then go.
You know
play
what
God
it
of
is,
War.
because to you, Sonic Frontiers, the Sega that has made this game has done nothing wrong yet, so you don't feel the pressure
What?
to go to God of War Ragnarok. All right, you're understanding. I feel like you're finally
Santa Monica
understanding.
Studios has had nothing wrong with. I know as soon as I hit God of War, it's just going to be excellence across the board. Sonic Frontiers, I got to judge it.
You gotta take a pause. You gotta take a pause before you say anything about it.
But for Sonic Frontiers, this is quite literally Bowser's Fury, the Sonic Edition. All right, because you're as you go and do stuff, more obstacles appear on the map, and it becomes super full. So by the time you're done with the map, there's rails and enemies everywhere, and you got to actually fight through them and collect stuff in order to get to the next stage. So honestly, it's been a pretty fun game for me. I expect it's going to be about a 20-hour game, without having any type of strategy guide. So it's actually been pretty fun. You have one island, you finish the island, you go to the next island. They actually do have like all the characters in it so far, because I've come across Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Big Fish, or
Okay,
Big Cat.
spoilers,
Sorry, not
Dalen.
Big
What if
Cat.
I,
Yeah, what the heck?
me being a
Spoilers?
big Sonic fan, was expecting to be surprised? by
Carlos,
these
I feel like you don't know who half these people are.
They were a Sonic Adventure, man. Like it was a cornerstone, so of course they're gonna be, it's a cornerstone. I don't know what else to say, man, but of course.
Hey man, unless Rogue is in it, you're not gonna know half these people.
Who is this
but
Rogue? No, I know.
you don't know who Rogue is.
It's Sonic Adventure, man. I played it. I had a Dreamcast. All right, me and Dale had a Dreamcast, and we played every single game on that thing. All right.
It's a Sonic Fox's girlfriend.
Yeah.
The Batgirl.
The
But
plot thickens.
yeah, I'll for the game itself, and just from what I've played of it so far, I cannot say this was a total bust of a Sonic game, because I could see where they were going with it, and it's not as
Phrasing.
bad as I thought. Especially when you actually hit the actual stages. The actual stages themselves are fun, well thought out, very full. They brought classic Sonic into this Sonic at the same time.
All right. How far are you?
There's a lot of side scrolling. There's a lot of side scrolling.
How far are you from maybe finishing? Do you feel, or do you kind of have a sense of that?
I'd say I'm about 3/4 of the way, or 2/3, one of the two.
That's a.
So do you think you finally understand the game?
As a
I
director said, you didn't
have come
understand.
to understand the game, which is why I gave it the label of Bowser's Fury, the Sonic game.
That's pretty good praise. That's good praise.
Pretty good praise. So game tape solved next week potentially, right? Then maybe we'll get a score from you once you kind of make it through, right?
Oh
Next
shit!
week.
I can give it a score right now.
Okay, Dalen, that's fair. It's not gonna change. Maybe you get another surprise rogue or something. Maybe there's another
Another surprise rogue. I don't
Yeah.
want another rogue. Give me a different character. All right.
What are you
Anyways,
what are you thinking then, Dalen? If you feel like you,
my score for it is probably gonna be like 6.5 out of 10.
That's fair. You're using the full scale. You're using the full
Yeah,
scale.
I'm using the full
You're using the
scale.
full scale. I like that, Dalen.
For a Sonic game, this one is actually not bad.
Okay.
Like I could actually sit and play this entire game. If I can't get through the Sonic game, there's a problem with it. All right, I'm just saying. Sonic,
Okay.
what was it? Sonic Heroes? What did they do
You
to
don't
you,
gotta-
Knuckles? I'm sad.
You don't gotta yell at me about that, Dalen. I trust you, man. I trust you. You finally understand.
No,
the
you
game.
don't. You don't trust me. You never have. Ah, the silence.
Potentially-
Moving on.
Oh,
Anybody?
eye contact. That was good.
That's
Anybody?
potentially-
Oh man.
Potentially true. Luis, have you been playing anything this week? Not too much. Huh? God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah. This past week was rough to get any games, and I couldn't get any story games, and it was just a bunch of multiplayer. The usual Rocket
Played
League,
some
GTA,
GTA.
that sort of stuff. So yeah.
There you go.
We
In the last-
tried to
to
do that Kyle Perico with Carlos, that 3-manning it,
Dude.
and that was a lot more
That was rough,
rougher
man.
than I thought it would be.
Which is funny because 2-manning it seemed pretty smooth, right? I think it's that last person that's maybe like lagging behind, usually me, lagging behind, where it's like it's the last person that can like almost squeeze in at the last second. If it was just 2, it'd be fine, but the third person keeps getting caught up. So, which is me, but. I might be done with that game. I gotta be honest, man. I think I might have to just delete it, Dalen. I'm sorry. I know you've been requesting to play it, but I'm
down to go run. Hey, the Diamond Heist is ready, Carlos.
All right, we'll see. We'll see, man. No promises. No promises. As far as what I've been playing, I tape solved the 2018 God of War. I like all the story beats in that, man. It was really nice. I don't want to do any spoilers, even though it's years out. But the boy's nature was kind of nice, kind of the reveals that go through that, and also the fact that like it's kind of is it a spoiler to say kind of what they bring back or like what they reveal towards the end of 2018? Like it is a continuation of the God of War series. I know, Luis, I think you were saying like, well, they never said it was like a remake or a reboot or anything like that. But I kind of got the idea. I mean, the name just says God of War, right? But it's like, no, you get the Blades of Chaos. It's like, well, okay, reasonable, let's go. And they give you like the stories like Athena's out here too. So it gives you, I hope that's not too spoilery, but I feel like that's kind of
I think it's fair to say that most people knew it was the reboot essentially was the different mythology.
Yeah.
It wasn't Greek mythology, it was Norse mythology.
Yes.
So that's kind of what.
And they kind of like sort of mix and match him now because he's from a different realm and all that kind of thing. But all that kind of thing. But Gears of War, it's such a beautiful game, and I'm into
Gears of War.
God of War.
You,
God of War.
yeah,
Go-
you did say
is that what
but
you're
you did
raising
say
your
yours.
hand for, Dale, to correct
No,
me
no,
on that?
no.
Go
No,
ahead,
I only
Dale.
have one question for you, and I'm gonna do this in a non-spoilery fashion, because you solved the tape of God of War, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
Yes.
which is what we. Wait, if people aren't aware, when we say tape solved, is we beat the game. That's just kind of the.
Hey, you beat the game, so you got all the way to the end. You got to the basically to the top of the mountain, which was like
Yeah.
the whole goal.
Yeah.
Did you go home afterwards?
Yeah. You have to.
Okay,
Right? Even
so-
though the credits are kind of rolling and stuff like that, but yeah.
Yeah. So if you went home, then yeah, you definitely know what's gonna happen next. You're like, yes, that's what made everybody so ready for it. Is that you went home and you saw what went down.
You saw what went down. Yeah, dude, I kind of loved God of War, and I'm into the new one, into Ragnarok. I've played quite a bit of it. I'm really enjoying it. I was actually telling at least one of the big things in the game, so I'll try to keep it as non-spoilery as possible. But one of the big things is like even just the menus themselves, man. I feel like a lot of games complicate so many things, whereas Ragnarok is like, just give me a little tabs. Let me just go down these tabs. So even that is simplified. I like that, how they're kind of, it's the continuation of the story. I was like, all right, what are they gonna do? I just played the original, and it's nice. The battles are nice. There's little wrinkles to the mechanics that are kind of revealed, because I'm not trying to spoil it, Dalen, but even like added little mechanics right off the bat. You get nice little things, and there's a quick reveal kind of towards the beginning that's like, huh, okay. That kind I did not know. We got to do a spoiler cast, I feel, at some point. If you guys are down, because there's a lot of juicy things in here. I'm not trying to spoil it. But I will say, I get the point of people saying it's like a Yakuza game. Because it's definitely, it's a different vibe. They clean it up. It's a little different. But you're retreading to, like, through a lot of, locales that you saw in the original game. I feel like I'm not far enough into it to definitively say that, but at least at the beginning, it's kind of like, okay, I've been here. I was just here a week ago or like 2-3 days ago, because I just beat the original. But other than that, it's just, you don't even feel it. And of course, those boat animations, exactly the same as 2018, but whatever. Who's counting? Who's looking at them?
Hey, he worked on that for a year, man.
Yeah. For a while. Carlos, I have a question. Does the combat feel any different between like the first game and the second game, or is it pretty much the same?
I feel it feels pretty close. I think it feels pretty close. Like I said, there's just, because I don't want to spoil it, because it's kind of nice what they add, as far as like they add little mechanics to it, like an extra alternative mode, I guess, if you want to call it. But it feels pretty close. It feels pretty close to the original.
I will say, to me, it felt similar at the very beginning of the game, but once you basically sort of go, let me try to change this, scale this because of scale it because of the difficulty that I'm on. But let's say after like the third hour into the game, that's when I'm like, oh, okay, so now like my actual skill trees and upgrades and weapon attachments sort of actually kind of matter a little bit more now. So it's the same sort of base mechanics, but they sort of allow you to cater the combat more to how your playstyle is. Once you sort upgrading your skill trees and all that. So.
Well, and I hope this is just not spoiling, a little bit of a teaser, but like the shield play, that's a little more evolved. The shield play is sorry.
It's a spoiler.
Okay, it's evolved. It's a little evolved. All right, my bad, Dale. It's a little evolved. It's little wrinkles added to it. We gotta do a spoiler cast, man, because there's so much juiciness to this that I think we gotta just spoiler cast God of War. The other thing is, I also tape solved Bayonetta 2. I kind of was playing it, and I put it on the dock. That 1080 blur is so nasty, man. I think I played through like the first half of the game portable, and it looked okay. It looked fine. You can still look. It's the Switch, but I put it on the TV, and I was like, this is gross, man. This
hurts my eyes. It's like CRT.
Gross, but I will say, so I was doing the touch controls, which I've referenced before, right? But I finally kind of use the Switch Pro controller, and I don't really use it that much. So the fact that I'm really using it for this game and it's tapping so much, the tappity buttonness, I like it more than the DualSense, man. I feel like the DualSense is like a little more squishy. And like I'm like, this controller that Nintendo's like, fine, give him a controller. Like, it's better button wise, like the hapticness, or the feel of the buttons when you're tapping them feels so much better. So I kind of played the last half. I was like, you know what? Let me get this out of the way so I can get to Bayonetta 3. And I like the game. I really like the game. I liked it so much, and I'm like, I kind of want to get through 3 it could potentially be considerations for Game of the Year. But I did get into 3. No touch controls. So that's kind of interesting.
Finally.
So 2 had touch control. Did you ask that? Had you asked that, Deo, or no?
Yeah, because I was like, how the heck did you play that in touch
Oh,
controls?
nice.
That's insane.
It was
Oh,
fun.
man.
I think I looked online on Reddit or something. It makes the game easier. I was like, maybe, potentially. I don't. But
Crazy,
it
bro.
was
You're
doable.
crazy.
It was
doable.
fun.
But I gotta admit, because like I've said, I played at work, so I'm kind of like, no touch controls. Okay, whatever. I guess I gotta tap away on this little system. So no touch controls from what I can see. The naive angel mode is what it's called. I guess it's like when you can censor it. I haven't tried it so much, so it's kind of was like, I want to try naive angel mode so my daughter can finally play alongside, because the games have co-op mode. I haven't tried it yet, so I'll have more impressions on that next time. And the cinematics in Bayonetta 3 are just as wacky, dude. And I gotta tell you, like, the story was falling apart since like the middle of the first game, so I don't understand. Like,
It was falling apart.
I
They're holding
don't-
it together with like the last.
yeah,
lick of
I
glue.
don't understand how. I gotta beat the game, and then maybe I'll dig into like the controversy, right? About like people don't like the story, but like, what the hell were you guys watching? What were you playing? The gameplay is incredible, right? The music is jaunty, and like I said before, Cowboy Bebop ish in some months. I dig it. I love it. But the story was falling apart like from the very beginning, man. It was barely held like by a thread. So Bayonetta 2 was just the same way. It even got a little more it got a little more anime-ish, I feel. Like sometimes when I watch anime, it's like it's too much. It's too much nonsense happening. And that was like, there was too much like, this is a young person, but think of them as an older person, and like all kinds of nonsense. 3 seems like it's kind of continuing that route, but again, like, as long as the combat is nice,
Hey man, you
nice,
just
I'm
need
down for it.
MacGuffins and you go kill things.
There you go.
That's right.
We'll end it this way. Well, as far as what you've been playing, then we'll get to a zinger. But Dale, what you been playing this past week, man?
I've only been playing stuff in my backlog that I'm trying to get rid of, which is unfortunate because like you brought up the tweet today about Game of the Year discussion, which is like during this time now we got to be thinking about it.
We got a few weeks.
And I haven't played a lot of the games this year that came out this year. That's what I've been realizing so far. So I have to catch up. But I don't know. I'm enjoying my time in these 3 games that I kind of messed around in today. But the games that I've been playing are MLB The Show 22 on Game Pass, and I wanted to because I wanted to test out the xCloud stuff again. And so I was like, okay, what's a game that's pretty hard that you kind of have to know or do like timing wise that will challenge the xCloud stuff. So the batting in MLB The Show isn't too bad. There isn't a lot of lag, so it was pretty nice.
That was the homework that Dalen gave you, I feel, or we gave you. The show gave you last week, right? There's like tryouts, because I know Dan brought up like, oh, it's because it's a game that doesn't challenge the cloud or challenge your reflexes much.
Right.
I know it wasn't those words, Dan. Don't be over here judging me.
Not specifically
You're
that
talking
one.
about it doesn't really hit the power that the cloud produces.
But you say like this is a game that requires like reflexes, right? It requires like a quick reaction time, right? And it was fine.
Yeah.
Do you feel like they put in all the graphics?
Ooh, no, definitely not.
See, there's the rub.
Yeah, because what happened was that, okay, so I was playing it for probably a good like 2-3 hours, just a normal exhibition match, and then I was like, man, I love this. So then I installed it to play Road to the Show on in the game, which is like a create your own player kind of mode, and like it looks so much sharper, and it's definitely more reactive. The type of
you mean like locally on your system, on your console, PC?
Yeah. It's like putting on like glasses for the first time. You're like, oh shoot, like I can see everything.
You took off the Vaseline.
Yeah.
How do you like that PlayStation Studios at the front that pops on when you load?
It's so weird. It's so weird because I have an Xbox controller in my hand and I booted from the Xbox like what do you call it, the dashboard, and so it's there, and then I go look at my phone real quick and I hear the PlayStation like intro logo and I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't turn on my PlayStation. So it's so disoriented.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Of a trip.
Yeah, and then I've been playing Persona 5 Royal some more. I've just been knocking a couple of just trying to get my group setup for the dungeon that I have to get into, or the palace that I have to get into. So, but not too much on that one. But then I booted up Call of Duty Infinite Warfare,
Okay,
and
going back.
Because
like
reasons.
because
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 I don't
of
know,
Kevin
like
Spacey. Kevin
no,
Spacey's in
no,
this one.
no.
Yeah.
That's advanced warfare. That's
Oh,
different.
gotcha. Okay.
This one is like the space one, and I don't know what the heck it was that like I was like I'm not really interested in it at the time. I think the scoring was pretty low on it, and but like there's like kind of a resurgence in this past couple of years, like of people looking back at Call of Duty titles, and everyone is like universally saying that Infinite Warfare is like the best one out of like this new
Infinite
crop.
Warfare is nice. It's one of the
It's
best
nice.
campaigns.
It's freaking nice. Like I would the first like two missions that I play through, I was like, why isn't Halo Infinite like this? It blows my mind, and it aggravates the blood. That's like how mad I am on that. I was like, why?
The people at Call
Look.
of Duty are like, why didn't you guys say this when we dropped the game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, that too.
Yeah.
It might have been unfair because I heard this last Modern Warfare 2 didn't score too well. I mean, obviously it sold a bunch, but like it didn't score as well as like past titles did. I'm like, that's kind of odd because this one starts off with a bang, and I can't wait to keep playing the damn thing.
Well,
Hey
and
man,
they
welcome to the
introduced-
player base. I'll tell you what, go back and play Cold War, and you'll understand that.
Yeah, I have
campaign
that
is
too.
actually
I just
pretty
never
nice.
installed it. Yeah, I can't wait to play that one too.
Well,
now.
and Infinite Warfare kind of introduced all these like cool little wall running mechanics, right? And it kind of introduced like the jump, like the double jump, kind of with the boost or whatever it was, right?
Yeah, I guess for multiplayer, people didn't like that as much, which is kind of understandable for a Call of Duty game. But for the campaign, it makes a lot of sense. And the way they designed it through the levels and the gameplay, I was like, gee, that makes a lot of sense. It gives you a lot of options.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy you found something to enjoy, Dale. All right. So especially
I'm
over
glad
here-
you found
you're
something
over
in your
here-
life.
You're over here
Yes.
shitting on Halo Infinite from a great height. All right. That's
That's
fine.
not what I said.
That's fine.
You were shitting Battlefield from a great height.
Great height.
That poop fell hard.
So you'll finish that out, right? I guess you know you still got quite a way. Well, they're not that long. I feel like
They're not that
knock
long,
out,
yeah.
right?
So I want to knock that one out before I start God of War Ragnarok over here. So that's
All right.
that's my plan.
Well, we'll end it on this one, the kind of the zinger for the episode. There's gonna be a video game for dogs, or that's what someone is developing. Of course, for me, Dylan, I haven't put it on wax before. I'm not a fan of dogs, man. As soon as I saw this, I was like, no, whatever.
Yet you have 2 or 3
So-
dogs, so you could not be a fan of dogs, but you have dogs.
They're not his.
They're not mine, but yes, there are dogs in this household. This is from Axios. They're talking about basically a game for dogs. They said Joy Paws games, which are all still being prototyped, run on a custom saliva-resistant touchscreen console that the canine competitors play with their snouts. Games include a Wacamo challenge and a test to see if the doggy gamer can pick which side of an image contains more bubbles. When the dogs succeed, the console dispenses treats. A motion-sensitive tracker on the dog's collar may also allow for additional control of some games. Luis, I know what Dalen's gonna say, but we'll get to you, Dalen. Just give me a second here. But Luis,
No, now I'm curious what you think I'm gonna say, so I'll wait for my turn. Luis, what
you
you
will
got
wait. No.
to say?
You don't.
I
don't
will
need to ask
wait.
for permission to wait, Dalen, or tell me to wait. You're just gonna have to wait, Luis. What are you thinking about this game here? This Canine.
You know what I think about this game? What I see here happening is that this is just one more chance for Dalen to cheat when we're playing Clue. Because he's going to have, what's this dog's name, Carlos?
Nero Reactor.
Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy. What's the
Mako Reactor 01. He's going to tell Mako Reactor 01.
Mako, help
hey,
me
guess
play
this, do that.
Help me play Clue. Let me beat
I
these
mean,
guys.
we already hear this man when we're playing Rocket League or something. It's like, Mako, sit down. Or whatever. So now he's just going to be giving more commands for Mako Reactor 01 to cheat for Dalen when we're playing Clue.
I guess he
Hey,
hasn't
you're just
mentioned
gonna be
him.
mad when you get beat by a dog.
Yeah, I guess.
Yes.
He hasn't.
Yes.
He hasn't mentioned it lately, right? But yeah, anytime Mako is around, without fail, I'm in the background. Mako Reactor 01, huh? Mako Reactor 01. That's what you call this dog. Dalen, what's up with this, man? Are you getting this for your dog if it's possible?
Let me hear what you think I'm going to say.
Oh, that you're gonna say,
Carlos,
yeah.
'cause
Let
you
me
just-
grab it for my dog for Mako Reactor 01. Let me just get it.
Oh, so I could cheat in video games?
Sure. Sure.
I'll have him be the fourth dog playing Uno with us. He's gonna play cards at the table with us.
Don't
Oh,
do
he could
it.
play. Mako could play sevens with us. All right. Anyways,
Play some
no.
stuff.
This actually reminds me of. I don't know if you've been to that mall at the time when it was there, Carlos, but there was a big old machine. It was like a projector machine that would point down at the
Yeah, I know
ground,
what you're talking
and people
about.
could step on that stuff. And I would see cats and dogs play with that thing all the time. We already got games for cats and dogs.
Who's saying that cats and dogs like just hang around at the mall, Dylan? When did you
People
witness
taking
this?
their cats and dogs on. Well,
Their
people
cats?
just bring their cats
Dylan,
with them.
you
Yes.
know, you know cats, they don't got masters, dude. You know, or
They don't have masters. Cats have no masters whatsoever.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, what was her name? Cleopatra. She was under the cats. It doesn't matter. But no,
under the cats. Okay, Dylan.
under the cats. But no, when it comes to the dogs being in the mall, I know that they have their dogs on leashes and they were in there just letting them play with the little lights and stuff like that. And I would see kids crawling around on the floor trying to play the game too. So cats and dogs can play together.
Cats and dogs and kids can play together. That's what we found out. We ended on a happy story, Dylan. Say no to this dog game, though, please. I'm Carlos Macias, the master of, what was it, Dylan?
Oh, the broken metronome.
Broken
You ain't got
metronome.
no time.
Well, thank you for shaming me, Dylan. I feel shamed.
You
Carlos Macias.
shamed yourself. You did
Dylan
this to
Kirkwood
yourself,
over
sir.
here shaming me from up in the mountains, up from up high. You're shitting on me from great
The
height,
poop will
Dylan.
fall.
From
Watch
great
out.
height. Deo Blas, the king of Mid Bay. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank y'all. Thank
Good
you.
to see your Warriors are kind of turning it around. They're making things happen. I'm happy for you, sir. I hope the game.
I'm not doing anything. They're all doing it themselves. I can't take credit for that.
I like how that's always their response. I'm not doing anything. They're out there. They're out there doing their thing. Luis Mendes on the wheels still. Thank you, sir, for joining us again, and thank you for keeping Dalen in line.
Yep.
You know, something I need a little bit of help wrangling Dalen a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Can't contain me.
Oh, okay, Dalen.
Oh.
All right.
Fire.
You can't cage it. You can't cage a damn ostrich, man. It's too big. Wings are too big.
All right. That's it.